Hello and welcome to Paris Set Me Free mini photo tutorials, and today we're going to look at still life. As you can see in this picture, I took 8 shots of the subject. Now still life needs to be defined because in French they call it nature morte, which means dead nature, which I find a bit depressing. Still life for me is slightly more positive. And basically what it means is you're arranging natural elements, or these days found elements, into a composition which is supposed to be pleasing to the eye. Now if you look here, you can see I did 8 of these and here is me in the top left on another mission entirely next to the artist's street, but let's not worry about that. So here I was walking along on one of those wide French boulevards where not only do you have a lot of trees, but you've also got a central sort of reservation type area which is for pedestrians, so you can walk down the middle of this this lovely Parisian boulevard. So there I was. It was in the 14th, near d'Enfer Rochereau, and what should I come across? And you can't plan these things, you know, I have to tell you. You have to walk. You walk, you will find. So there I was walking, and I found these 2 cute little ballet shoes, all on their own on the edge of this bench. I won't claim to have found this exactly as it was, and it's a decision and it's an option that you have as a photographer. You can arrange the elements, and you can be sure that if you look at some of the classic still lifes, or dead natures as the French would say, from history, they positioned the items extremely carefully, so we can as well. So I thought to myself, okay, here are these 2 little ballet shoes sitting on the edge of a bench, rather poignantly. They were worn, they were discarded, like a passing phase of childhood or of growing up. And next to them was this magazine, this horsey magazine, of the sort that adolescent girls, you know, like when they fall in love with horses and work in the stables and take riding lessons and that sort of thing. And I am slightly speaking from experience. Not that I'm an adolescent girl, but I do know one. And I thought, okay, let's make a little still life here. So have a look at these pictures quickly and decide which one you like the best. Now it's difficult to choose. I mean, there's not much between them. But having said that, if you're a photographer with a photographer's eye, there's everything between them. You have to choose the best one. Without going into any details, I'm going to show you what I chose. I chose one where the slippers, the ballet slippers here, were taking up the entire right-hand side of the picture, and they were sitting on this green bench, and I must admit I placed them. They weren't placed so perfectly. I did place them, but to be honest, that's the sort of placing a pernickety little girl might well do. She likes to have her shoes just in the right order, and that brings us to these leaves. There's 2 leaves here, a green one and a brown one. You could say alive and dead. There's a bit of chewing gum in between them, which isn't, it's very bright, it's almost white, but I don't think it gets in the way because it's part of the pavement. That's what life's about, you know. People throw their chewing gums down and there it is. I wanted to place these 2 leaves next to each other to repeat the theme of the slippers placed next to each other. I must admit these leaves were pretty close to each other in reality, but I thought I'll bring them closer, and then you've got a repetition of theme. I also put this horsey bag on the ground, where it already was on the ground. There were also a couple of leaves hanging around here. As I look at the picture, I think maybe this top bit here doesn't particularly do much, so I would maybe have changed that. But now, as I speak, I remember why it's like that, and that is because I decided to keep the traditional frame dimensions. So I decided to crop it proportionally. In other words, when you take the shot, you get these dimensions, this one and this one. It's probably 2 to 3, and I decided for the to respect traditional photographic dimensions, to not crop. So that's why there's this big grey area here. The main thing is, down here in the bottom right, you've got these in-your-face bright pink ballet shoes, and here you've got a little bit about what that might mean. You know, the horsey mag, the leaves arranged nicely. You might ask yourself, who left them there? That's always the thing. When you see discarded items, you always ask yourself, who and why? You know, why did they decide that that was the time when these ballet shoes could no longer serve? Look, you can see on the toes there, they're worn out. They've done their time, and it was time to move on. And it can be the same with the magazine as well. So it's a nostalgic picture, possibly poignant, because it can symbolize, there's no human in the picture, but there's an awful lot of evidence of passing moments and passing times. Ballet shoes it's often a phase that young kids go through, and then they leave them to go on to other things. For example, the horsey mag is another stage in a young girl's life, where she gets into horses and she wants to have everything to do with horses and so on. And it's a symbol of passing time. And if you like, without being too pretentious, but if we're photographers, then we need to think about these things in order to make others, or to offer others the possibility to make their own connections. Here's the young leaf, green, fresh, small, and here's the older one, brown, a bit crispy, larger, because it's lived its life, and we don't know why this young one has fallen. We don't know why these shoes were discarded. We don't know who left the horsey mag, and all of it sitting on this grey, forbidding grey tarmac, which was part of one of those nice leafy walks, but you can't see it here. It's a still life. I've concentrated on 3 major elements, and although you are listening to this podcast and my analysis of it and my description, if you just saw the photograph, our aim as photographers has to be to make people think, to make them ask questions. If this was in a gallery and you saw this photograph, you might ask yourself the sort of questions that I've asked as I've been describing it, and that's very important. It all comes down to, you know, how much should you tell them about why you took it, and how much should you let them imagine for yourself. That's the subject of another video later on. If you want to see a higher quality version of this photograph, then do go to my blog at parissetmefree.blogspot.com and look for August 2008. Thanks for visiting, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Depuis que je suis à Paris, le jour et la nuit, je suis gris. J'ai compris la douceur de vivre. Je suis fou de joie, je suis ivre. Depuis que je suis à Paris.